We're joined by Associate Professor Nazmul to discuss the political transition in Syria and its implications for Turkey's peace initiatives. Good to see you, Nazmul.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, what ways could Turkey's counterterrorism strategies be influenced by changes in Syria's political landscape?
Again, thank you for having me. This Syria now, of course, from many landscape, many understanding and perspectives, Syria is now in one of the wonderful times the people of the Syria is passing, especially because this is the first time after 61 years they are getting the real taste of freedom, feeling of this to have a freedom in their own country. So looking all of this issue, to have a freedom and to continue a freedom, because, there is one saying it's important to understand the Syria. Protecting freedom is, much difficult things rather than achieving freedom. So yes, in one way, Syria, they got their freedom, they got and achieved their freedom, but to continue the freedom is one of the difficult task in any understanding or any observation. So looking at this point, of course, the Syria, they have one of the wonderful things to have a Turkey inside or with them. Turkey, they offer so many things, including to make a stable and fostering a very inclusive and democratic Syria. Indeed, it needs a time, and Turkey is giving us so many propositions to have that peaceful situation inside the Syria. And one of the wonderful things that Turkey is doing, peaceful diplomacy, by making a diplomatic relation with many regional countries and also the great powers from the world's perspectives, making a meeting with the USA and also talking and phone call with many partners from Europe to other countries to take the real initiative. In that way, the people of the Syria and the government of the Syria and also to protect the stability of the Syria is giving a prioritized issue in here. And of course, from Turkish perspective, as you said, the terrorism is one of the very vibrant and very problematic issue. And Turkey, it looks like a stable Syria means stable, to some extent, the stable border of Turkey. So the one of the priority that Turkey is trying to do again and again, and it's not actually the new things. If we look from and since the starting point of the civil war in Syria, Turkey is one of the main follow-up things to stable the Syria, because it can only stable or remove the terrorist activity from the border area of the Syria.
How can Turkey ensure its border security and stability during Syria's political transition?
Well, the border area in Turkey is one of the critical area from many understandable way. For example, we know this since last 40 years, this border area used by these terrorist groups, especially the PKK and its offshoot like YPG and SDF. So that recently the Turkey and its especially the Syrian National Army and also other groups, they found so many tunnels in the near to the Afrin, near to the Turkish and Syrian border, and it's connected the so many places of Turkey and with Syria. So it looks like in many context and narrative that what Turkey has said in many times, like there were a huge terrorist activity by this kind of groups, and now it's true that it shows that yes, this activity was so actively worked in the border area, and they did so many this kind of terrorist activity by making these tunnels, by killing the civilians, by making relations with the terrorist offshoot inside the Turkey and also outside the Turkey, like inside the Syria or also in Iraq. So that's very much clear, especially by looking from the Turkish foreign policy and also the Turkish national security discourses. So now looking at the border area, that's as I said earlier, the one of the very prioritized issue for Turkey to establish the Syria, because if it's Syria and the people of the Syria and the current transition transitional government, if they can protect their country and to sustain their the freedom and to continue their inclusivity of their government and institutions, then it will automatically protect the border security of the Turkey. And apart from that, Turkey, they have a very specific priority to make their national security, because Turkey do not want to see any kind of difficulties, any kind of problems inside the Syria, to see that different parts of the Syria, to do not want to see the different areas controlled by especially the terrorist groups like YPG and SDF. So Turkey wants only one Syria that can be controlled by an inclusive government, and that can represent all of the groups, especially Syria. It's a multi-ethnic groups oriented countries, and they have a many clan and tribes. So Turkey want to see that all of these people will have a representation inside their government. So it can only protect of course, in one way the Syria and Syrian stability, and on the other way the border of the Turkey, because Turkey do not want to see that these groups, those insurgents and terrorist groups, have the weapons, have the legitimacy to control especially the natural resources. This YPG and PKK, they have controlled in Syria, especially the areas of natural gas and well, and that's another problem, not only for actually the Turkish border, it's also the problem for the Syrian stability, because these natural resources are very important for the future of Syrian's economy. So looking from every perspective, actually, we have to find out that Turkey, of course, they have a prioritized issue to make a safe and secure border, but at the same time, to make a safe and secure border, Turkey is making actually safe and secure Syria. Because safe and secure Syria means, there will not have any irregular migration. There will not have, the problems of irregular terrorist activity near to the border, and also inside to Turkey, and also inside to the Syria. So there are the three benefits by making this kind of policy, to make to establish a inclusive Syrian government.
And what role can Turkey play in fostering regional stability while addressing the challenges posed by terrorism in Syria?
If we want to especially talk these specific terrorist groups, it's not only the people from the locality. We have seen there are people, there are participants of these kind of groups, or if these kind of terrorist groups are coming from many countries. I mean, it's actually foreign troops. For example, peoples or soldiers are coming from Europe, from Iraq, from also let's say many other countries are joining with this terrorist group, and that's a big problem, to find out the real solution, because one of the thing we have seen that Turkish foreign minister, he's emphasized in many of his speeches that these foreign troops must leave the Syria, because it would be the one of the way that Turkey can establish their secure border, and also the stable Syria. Apart from that, another challenge is to have same understanding with the regional power and also the global powers. We have seen that Turkey is starting to make their peace diplomacy. We have seen that the Turkey is trying to talk with almost every powers, and also Turkey is giving a much more priority to the border countries. For example, to give a priority to the Iraq, and together with Iraq and Syria, Turkey want to resolve these challenges which are occupied, or let's say like let's say developed in the specific Syrian region. And also there are other challenges, that the Israel's aggression. Unfortunately, in every way when we are talking, and as an academician or as an observer of this kind of problem, we want to see in any simple or simplistic way a country or any country should respect the international law. But unfortunately, what we have seen in the region, when we're talking to Israel, we are not seeing any kind of a simple respect for international law. And that's a very challenging for any country. I mean, it's not only about the Turkey. Even tomorrow, if USA, they want, let's say, like, for some reason, if they want to really to establish some sort of peaceful things for the sake of just the Syrian people, it's quite impossible. Why? Because there is Israel, and who don't care actually any kind of international law, any kind of border, any kind of sovereignty, and they just only understand the aggression. They just only understand the word of the weapons and the power. So that's a difficult things. Even all of the Turkish peaceful and positive motivation can be destroyed because of this Israel's aggression on sovereign land like Syria. And that they're having their this kind of aggression on a specific area, it actually gives a very good opportunity for any kind of terrorist activity, any kind of terrorist groups to continue their activity. So I mean, Turkey, it would have another challenges for to control or to stop Israel to continue their aggression on Syria or inside the Syrian lands. And apart from that, we can talk, that there is also many regional competition. So what of the Turkish foreign policy? If we look, since last 1 decade, Turkey want to make their own regional ownership. The Turkey, it's not a country like for a couple of years. Turkey have a huge background to know this area, to have their position and to talk, to have their ownership of this area. It doesn't mean like they want to go to the other country's sovereignty or any other things. No, they want to make a more peaceful region by making all kinds of collaboration, partnership, and engagement. So looking all these criteria, like the collaboration, partnership, and engagement, we can see that Turkey need to make more cooperation with many other regional countries. But unfortunately, there are some countries, they are looking everything from the competitive perspectives, let's say like from the regional competition, and that makes another very difficult things for Turkey to establish their peace and to establish especially for the rights for the and justice for the Syrian people inside the Syria.
And lastly, how will Turkey balance its diplomatic engagements with global powers while navigating the complexities of Syria's political transition?
This that when we are talking about a transitional government or transitional period of any country, it's always a difficult things because transition means transition. I mean, it's always a difficult things. It's always a chaotic. It's always I mean, our government need to deal with different kinds of crises. It could be the economic crisis. It could be the security crisis. It could be the political crisis, social crisis. Many kinds of crises, that can be erupted in that particular countries. So Syria is not, of course, exceptional country. It has also the same crisis we are seeing. The positive side of Syria, like, the people, they saw one of the world's very, long-term bloody civil war. So the peoples, it's very, very clear, like the people, they do not want to see another kinds of, bloody things and bloody conflict. So what they want to see, they want some more peaceful or inclusive or inclusivity inside the Syria. But we know, I mean, that this transitional government, they have a huge challenges, and one of the main challenges they will have to make to have the institutionalization of their governmental system, especially their bureaucratic system, or even the military, or I mean, all kinds of order system inside their government. So all of these things, all of this offshoot is showing to us the transitional government, they're facing as challenges. But the positive things, as I said earlier, they have some countries, including Turkey, they want to help them. They want to give their all of the things to stabilize this country, to establish their nation. But there's one thing also we have to mention. Syria, when they are fostering this kind of transitional period, they have other challenges. They have challenges like to control this whole area. So having a terrorist activity in some parts, especially the northern Syria, it makes more problematic for the future of this transition. Syria, especially if we look from this transitional government, they have a specific policy to work with every groups of the people, to have a representation from every groups. It could be the Arabs, it could be the Turkmen, it could be the the Kurds, and all of these people have a representation through this transitional government and for the future government. But the problems here is the terrorist groups and the presence of the foreign troops within this kind of terrorist groups, especially when we're looking at this, the YPG or SDF, and also the controlling this very precious area, like to control the natural resources areas like natural gas and well. So these kinds of things more chaotic, because if the current government, if the transitional government cannot control such thing, then it will encourage the other terrorist groups, especially we can say like Daesh, for example, or even also any other small or big terrorist group. They can be encouraged by seeing that the government, they cannot control the YPG or SDF, so why you should work with the government? Let's take our part, and in that way this would make a much more chaos inside the Syria. So it's very clear that for making a stable Syria, the Syrian government, transitional government, one of the most prioritized things, they should have control the whole Syrian areas, including the control by this SDF or YPG. And the second thing, they have to have a very specific and very rigorous talks with the Israel, whether the Israeli troops should go out of the Golan Heights or not, because it's also another important thing. If Israel can stay there by this way of aggression, then it could, of course, encourage the other countries. For example, today or tomorrow, then Iran or Russia will come again and show that, okay, if Israel can control these areas, then why we not again, put our hands inside the Syria? So it's also another important things and also challenging period for the transitional government to look these things, how they can handle and how they can deal with the Israel, because of course they cannot go to the hard war, or they cannot go with the hard kinds of conflict with the Israel, but they have to ensure with the diplomatically, especially together with Turkey and also other regional and global powers, to ensure that Israel shouldn't stay here, because in that way they cannot protect their sovereignty. So Israel must remove their soldiers from this area, especially the Golan Heights. So that's the way we can see in an initial way to establish peace and also establish a less challenging period inside the Syria. But again, as I said, it will take some time, because it's a transitional period, and transitional period needs a transitional solution for every stakeholders of the society, because the huge number of peoples are moving to Syria now who were the refugees. So now inside, when they are moving to the Syria, there have a huge demographic changes happened due to this civil war. So even the locating these people and giving them a placement and having the good electricity, water supply, and also very simple fundamental rights, having education or shelter, medicine, healthcare system. These all are things, it's a difficult process for any kind of government. And even also like a transitional government is much more difficult things. So this government have, of course, to challenge to resolve these kind of problems. But again, they have a hope, they have a positive side, they have a partner countries like Turkey to build up this nation, to see that how these countries together with other regional and global partners to reconstruct the countries, to reconstruct their nation, especially to reconstruct the placement for the people who are coming back to the Syria, and also to have a continuous humanitarian assistance for these people. So these are the positive things, for the Syria now, because they have at least a support from some countries, especially from Turkey.
Nazmul, thank you for joining NewsHour, and thank you for your analysis.
Welcome. Thank you so much.